It's beat. Right now, your laptop is probably closed.
Most likely, yeah.
But inside it, an AI isn't just, answering a simple question. It is actively moving a digital mouse.
It really is. It's wild to think about.
It's clicking through your messy spreadsheets. It's even messaging your coworkers on Slack. We are officially past the era of the simple chatbot.
We really are. It's a completely new paradigm. Welcome to the Deep Dive, everyone.
Today, we are exploring xAI's brand new Grok Agent.
Right, which officially goes by the name GrokBot.
It is a massive shift in how we work.
Definitely. And we have a packed roadmap for you today.
We really do.
We're going to look at setting up your first agent. Then we'll see how multiple agents actually collaborate together.
The multi-agent stuff is fascinating.
Oh, it's crazy. We'll also explore some intense real-world developer workflows. And finally, we will tackle the serious $200 monthly price barrier.
Which is steep?
Yeah, that price tag really determines if this tool is actually for you.
Beat. Let's start by unpacking the core concept here.
That's good.
To understand how this AI actually does the work, we must look at how it learns.
Right.
How does it learn your highly specific daily workflow? Grok Agent is not a passive text box. It's an active AI teammate.
Exactly. It uses your actual web apps. It literally operates its own virtual computer in the background.
That virtual computer detail is, well, it's absolutely crucial.
Context is everything when you're working on complex projects.
Mm-hmm.
You can give each Grok agent a very specific job title. You don't start from zero every single morning.
Because it remembers exactly what you were doing yesterday.
Right. Which brings us to the standout feature.
It's called Teach a Task.
This completely changes the user experience. You don't write massive, complex text prompts anymore.
Thank goodness.
Seriously, you just perform your standard browser workflow one time. The agent simply sits there and watches what you do.
Beat, this is such a fascinating psychological shift. It's like training a new intern by having them look over your shoulder instead of handing them a dense manual.
That is the perfect analogy. You just show them the ropes naturally.
I mean, I have to make a vulnerable admission here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I still wrestle with prompt drift myself when I try to text command complex tasks. Writing a perfectly structured prompt is absolutely exhausting.
Right. And it's incredibly frustrating for most users. You write a perfect, detailed prompt on a Tuesday. By Thursday, the underlying model interprets it slightly differently.
And the output just breaks.
Exactly. Visual demonstration removes that entire layer of translation error. You show it the action, it learns the exact behavior.
But we need to look at the mechanics behind that.
Okay.
If I just show it my screen, how does it really know what I'm doing? I have a probing question about accuracy here.
Shoot.
How accurately does it capture the exact steps without missing the nuanced details?
Well, it relies heavily on computer vision and DOM parsing.
Wait, let's unpack that for a second.
Yeah.
DOM parsing.
Right. Let me explain how that actually works. It's not just looking at a flat picture of your screen.
Okay.
DOM parsing means it reads the underlying structural code of the web page. It looks at the actual digital skeleton.
Ah, so it sees the code behind the visual layout.
Yes. So when you click a blue submit button, it knows exactly what that button represents in the system.
That makes sense.
It maps the visual interface to the actual code. Grok Agent then turns this observation into a reusable skill.
So it builds reusable skills directly from your actions.
Yes, it learns by doing. Though, xAI strongly recommends testing this saved skill manually.
Right. Trust but verify.
Exactly. You should watch it perform the task once before relying on it completely.
That makes perfect sense. So if I can teach it to do this one thing perfectly by just watching me, what happens when I need it done 500 times by tomorrow morning? Does it just sit there waiting for me to hit a button?
Not at all. That is where we get into the scaling phase.
Okay.
Once it learns a task, you use routines. Routines let you run these saved workflows on specific schedules.
Like setting an alarm clock for your tasks.
Exactly. You could have it check a specific data source every single morning at 8 a.m. Or you can use trigger events instead of schedules.
Give me an example of a trigger event.
Well, you could have the agent watch your Slack channels.
Okay.
You set a specific condition, like waiting for a message that says urgent bug.
Oh,
When that message appears, the agent wakes up and executes its routine.
Few sec silence. The fascinating part is the background execution. This all happens even when your own laptop is closed.
It's a huge architectural departure from older tools.
Yeah.
You don't need to leave your browser open. You don't need to keep your machine running hot overnight.
Because the agent lives on its own cloud computer.
Precisely. But the system gets even crazier than that.
How so?
You can put several different Grok agents into one single thread.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. They can run their routines in parallel. They can actually message each other. They hand off complex work seamlessly.
I am trying to picture this in my own day-to-day.
Sure.
If I am using 3 different apps to put together a weekly report, how do these agents actually pass the baton to one another without dropping the data?
Think of it kind of like a virtual digital assembly line.
Okay.
One agent acts purely as the data researcher. It goes out and collects source material from the web. It organizes that raw data into a clean format. Then it passes that raw data to a second agent.
The second agent is waiting in the same thread.
Right. The second agent is specifically prompted to be the writer.
Ah.
It takes the researcher's data and prepares the final report. They coordinate this entire workflow entirely on their own.
2-sec silence? That is profoundly weird to think about. Your digital clones are having a meeting without you.
Whoa. Imagine multiple agents messaging each other to finish your project while your phone is in your pocket.
It feels like absolute science fiction.
It really has.
But that raises a very practical question about device reliance.
Okay.
What happens if my phone dies or I lose connection during a massive multi-agent task?
The task doesn't care about your local device at all.
Really?
Like we said, the agents live on the cloud computer. Your phone or laptop is merely a viewing window.
Ah, I see.
If your phone battery dies on a flight, the agents just keep working.
Work continues safely in the cloud, completely uninterrupted.
Exactly. You just log back into the iOS app later.
Right.
You can monitor their progress. You can review the results or approve steps right from your iPhone when you land.
Beat theory is great. I love talking about digital assembly lines.
It's fun, yeah.
But we need to connect this to the bigger picture. We have to look at how people are actually using this right now.
The source material highlights some fascinating real-world developer workflows.
Let's start with Balta's use case. That one really stood out to me.
Balta's workflow is a perfect starting point.
Yeah.
He used GrokBot to actively listen to Slack channels.
Okay.
The agent was specifically looking to debug live software issues.
Okay.
It would find the bug reports, analyze them, and actually fix the code.
He was essentially dog-fooding the product there. He used GrokBot while he was developing GrokBot itself.
Yes, which is the ultimate stress test.
Oh.
This setup is ideal for small, fast-moving development teams. Bug reports usually live in chaotic internal Slack channels.
No, true.
Normally, a developer has to copy the error text. They move it to a separate coding window. The Grok agent just enters the Slack workflow directly.
It acts like a real coworker in the chat.
Exactly.
Then we have Peter Dedine's use case. This one focuses heavily on cross-app research.
Yeah, he connected Notion, Linear, and Slack together.
This is where the tool gets really powerful for non-engineers.
For sure. Grok actively researched specific people and companies for him. Then it created customized LinkedIn messages and email drafts.
And it wrote them in his actual voice.
Right, because it had access to his previous communications.
It did this without any manual copying and pasting.
Which is huge.
That is usually the biggest friction point in knowledge work. Opening 5 different tabs, copying context from a Notion document.
Moving it over to a Slack message.
Losing your train of thought in the process.
Yeah, exactly.
GrokBot brings these disjointed steps into one unified workflow.
It's a massive time saver for roles like sales or recruiting. You eliminate the busy work of moving data around.
But the third example in our sources is even more intense.
Oh, yeah. Thomas Grove focused entirely on heavy developer workflows.
He connected GrokBot directly with GitHub MCP.
Yes. He allowed the bots to run commands from the CLI.
Let's define that jargon really quickly. A text interface where you type commands directly to the computer.
Perfect definition. So using that raw interface, GrokBot created a completely new software repository from scratch.
Wow.
It bypassed the graphical interface entirely.
I have to push back here for a moment.
Okay, go ahead.
Is this really a new paradigm? Or is this just another coding assistant with a fresh coat of paint?
I see what you mean.
We've had AI write code for a couple of years now.
True, but it is absolutely not just a passive assistant.
How so?
An assistant gives you code in a static chat window. Then the human has to copy it.
Right.
The human has to paste it in the terminal. The human has to run it and check for errors.
Okay, I see the difference.
GrokBot is an active participant in the systems your team already uses. It executes the actions itself.
So it removes the human middleman from the loop?
Yes.
Let me ask about the developer limits, though. How far can it actually go in a live production environment?
Right now, it has incredibly broad access if you granted the permissions.
Okay.
Through tools like GitHub MCP, it can interact with your code base directly. It can execute local scripts. It essentially acts like a junior developer who has been given terminal access.
It runs actual terminal commands and creates entire repositories.
Exactly. It takes a physical part in the actual development process.
Amazing.
It doesn't just suggest the work, it performs the work. Sponsor.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We have been talking about digital assembly lines and agents writing their own code.
Yeah, it's pretty wild stuff.
This all sounds like absolute magic, but we need a serious reality check.
We do.
What is the actual cost here? Where does this system break down in practice?
Well, it is still in an early stage of development. That's the first major limitation we need to acknowledge.
Right.
Features like Teach a Task are rolling out very gradually to users. Even if you sign up today, your account might not have everything yet.
The experience will likely change quite a bit as XAI pushes updates.
Definitely.
But let's talk about the big barrier to entry. The pricing model is incredibly aggressive.
It really is. You can get a 1-week free trial to test it out.
Okay.
But you must provide a credit card up front. After that trial ends, it is $200 per month for the Ultra tier.
Wow.
Alternatively, you can access it via a Super Grok Heavy subscription.
I really have to reflect on that $200 price tag.
It's a lot.
Casual users simply won't find the return on investment here. If you just want a chatbot to help you write occasional emails, this is a terrible deal.
Yeah, totally.
This pricing makes it a purely pro-tier tool.
Completely agree. You need to have heavy, repetitive, daily workflows to justify that monthly cost.
Make the tool pay for itself, basically.
Exactly. The compute power required to run virtual background computers is massive. Founders, developers, and heavy automators will absolutely love it.
The casual users should definitely stay away.
Stay far away, yeah.
There is another significant limitation regarding the AI models themselves.
Right.
The sources note that you do not get full model control.
That's true. Grok manages the model routing entirely for you in the background.
Okay.
It automatically chooses what it thinks is the best model for this specific task. This keeps the experience incredibly simple for the user.
But advanced users might find this frustrating. Power users usually want to pick their specific tool.
Oh, for sure.
Like, can I force it to use a specific model for coding tasks if I know it performs better?
You might think you could, but no. You have to trust its internal routing logic completely.
No, Grok automatically handles all model routing for you.
Exactly. You cannot override it.
2-sec silence. That requires a massive amount of trust.
It really does.
Especially for complex developer tasks where specific models shine. What happens when the agent hits a security checkpoint? Does it just guess my password?
That is a great question, and thankfully, no.
Phew!
There are strict manual approvals built into the system architecture.
Okay.
The agent will literally pause its workflow. It waits for you to intervene for sensitive actions.
What qualifies as a sensitive action in this context?
Entering passwords, inputting 2-factor authentication codes from your phone,
Makes sense.
solving visual checked ETCAs, approving financial payment confirmations. Basically, anything that requires a verified human to confirm intent.
I actually think this is a fantastic limitation. Grok Agent should absolutely not make every sensitive decision by itself.
Right, and you should expect some complex workflows to pause naturally.
So how does it notify you?
You will get a push notification on your device.
Mm.
You review the specific step, you approve it manually, and the agent continues its work.
It intentionally keeps a human in the loop for the critical moments.
Exactly.
It prevents the agent from going completely rogue with your credit card.
Which is very important.
Speed. Let's synthesize the overarching theme of these sources. We are officially moving away from AI as a passive chat window.
We absolutely are.
The era of endlessly copying and pasting from a text box is ending.
We are moving rapidly toward AI as an active, persistent system. It takes concrete action across multiple applications.
Yeah.
It lives and breathes on its own virtual computer.
It fundamentally changes our relationship with the software we use every day.
It does.
You are no longer the one clicking the buttons. You become a manager of agents rather than a doer of tasks.
That is exactly the shift. You teach the process one time. You automate the tedious, repeated work. You let several agents share the heavy lifting while you focus on high-level strategy.
Which brings me to a final, slightly uncomfortable thought I want to leave you with.
Okay, let's hear.
If AI agents can now seamlessly handle multi-step research,
Yeah.
if they can flawlessly manage cross-app data collection, if they can do basic debugging across all our internal tools, what happens to the entry-level human roles?
It is a profound question for the entire tech industry.
Historically, those exact manual tasks served as a necessary training ground.
They did, yeah.
It's how young professionals learned the intricate details of their industry. You learn by doing the boring, repetitive work.
That's how everyone starts.
If we automate all the junior-level busy work, where do the humans actually start learning now?
The entire ladder of career progression might need to be completely rebuilt from the ground up.
We highly encourage you to review your own daily routines this week.
Definitely do that.
Look at your repetitive manual tasks. Ask yourself if a background agent could eventually take them over. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Out to your own music.